Shalom friends, welcome back to learning the Hebrew Alef-Bet. In this tutorial, we are in tutorial number 5. We'll be learning two new Hebrew letters, the Lamed and the Mem. Let me get my pen set up. And just for the sake of saying it, we're not going to be working with any vowel marks in this tutorial. So in tutorial 5. And Lamed and the Mem, well, the first we're looking at here is the Lamed. Typically see it written this way, L-A-M-E-D in English, and then Mem, M-E-M. And you can see there's not really anything similar between the two, but they are used quite commonly in Hebrew as they are, we're talking about the L and the M, or the equivalent to them in English. So obviously they're very common letters in any language. So the Lamed will be equivalent to the English L, and then the Mem will be equivalent to the English M. Now, we have a few letters in Hebrew that have final form that will come at the end of a letter. I want to just go ahead and point out this is the initial or medial Mem. In other words, we're only going to use this Mem at the beginning or the middle of a word. We'll never use it at the end of the word. We'll learn the final Mem in the next lesson. But if we go ahead and just practice these in the block script, the way you typically will see this Lamed, this little top part will a lot of times appear, well, I wouldn't say above the line of a page, but it'll come up above most of the other letters. Let me get my pen right. Sorry about that. Get the calligraphy style. We'll try this again. And so we just want to start it out up top somewhere like this. It kind of looks like the number 7 to some degree, if you ask me, but there's another one that looks like this as well. Well, I mean, we said that with respect to Resh, but here again, the Lamed is a little bit more curved, and just always remember this top part. It's going to stand out above the rest of the letters. For the Mem, we're just kind of one single line down like that, and we'll bring that'll work fine. Now, here again in the block script, this is what we're going to read in the Torah, the websites, printed material. We'll see Lamed and Mem written this way. The handwriting script, though, is going to be a little bit different, and that's these are two letters that the block script and the handwriting script don't really share any similarities with, in my opinion, in appearance, but good to remember both of them. So practice the Lamed and the Mem together in your block script. And the handwriting script, and I'll just put HS right here, so you know we're doing the handwriting script. This is what we'll write in. There's a couple different ways you could write the Lamed. You got to be careful because there's at least 3 letters that kind of start like this. And it really kind of looks like if you've ever looked at, like when we write the cursive L in English, it looks like that. But be careful not to confuse this with the handwriting script version of the Lamed. That means something else in Hebrew. We'll get to it a little bit later. However, it does appear kind of similar to that. And the way I write it is like this. We leave it like that. We don't bring the curl around. Okay? That would be like a handwriting script version of Lamed. Now, I started down here at the bottom. If you want to start at the top, you come down, and we'll just do it in the next one. Either way is fine. The Mem is going to be like the English, the capital case N, except here again I started with the right-hand side. The Lamed, you could write it like that. That'll work as well. And then, of course, the Mem will be capital. Well, look like the N to us in English. I'll do it one more time. and then the lamed. Okay. After you get used to practicing these will they'll kind of you'll memorize them. Let's go ahead and work with the existing vowel marks we worked with before. I got them over here to the right, the ones we've learned so far. We have the tseri. We know that this gets a hard A. The kamats, which gets like a ah, and then the patah, which gets a ah pronunciation as well. A little bit later, we'll talk. One of these, we'll talk about the difference between those a little bit later. I'm just introducing the vowel marks at this point. There's a little bit more rules and a lot of grammatical rules to those, but we'll learn those as we go along. And I don't think it's important to point them out right now. We'll just, if we were to write this out in Hebrew using, let's start out. We'll use the block script. And so ma would be a mem. And then we would just use the kamats down below, looks like the English T. Ma, this version would be the patah. And that's the same pronunciation, but using two different vowel marks. For le, we would use a lamed, and then the two dots get the tseri, the hard A vowel mark. La would be lamed, and then the patah, and then me, mem, two dots below, and then one more la, and this time we use the kamats. We'll jump back over to the handwriting script. First, we're just spelling out English words like made, the way they would phonetically sound in Hebrew. So here we could we use the mem, the hard A vowel mark, and then we'll end that with dalet, made. Lame, we could use the lamed, right there, the hard A vowel mark, or the tseri, and then I'm breaking the rule here. I said we really don't use this mem at the end of a word, but for right now, I'm just going to break that rule. We'll talk more about it later. When mem comes at the end of a word, we'll use a different form, but for now, we'll just stick to this. Mar, and this would be a mem, patah, and then reish. Mar in Hebrew is the equivalent to Mr. So like my last name is Cash, so in Hebrew it would be Mar Cash. Masha, it really, well, this may mean something, but you're going to see this at the beginning of of a few words at least. It's kind of like I don't know if you call it a preposition, but you'll see what I'll designate it differently here in a second. So we get a mem, chamatz. We're going to use a shin dot, and we'll use it a chamatz again. And typically we would have more letters behind here. That's why I kind of called it, said like a preposition, although as a preposition by itself it really doesn't mean anything like in other Hebrew letters, which we'll learn a little bit later. Lama is the same. We'll just use lamed, losing my voice, a chamatz, a mem, and then a patah. And then a lot of times you'll see this is at the beginning of a word, and then letters will follow that. In exercise 6, here we got some Hebrew words, some literal Hebrew words we can use. Mashal, mem, chamatz, shin dot, patah, and then a lamed. And in Hebrew, that means like a proverb. Lavash is another verb. We're going to use a lamed, chamatz. This time we're using the vet, so we won't put a dagesh in the middle there. Patah, and then finally shin dot at the top. Right. Lavash in past tense means wore, like he wore an article of clothing. Lamad is very similar to lamed, the letter lamed, but lamad, another verb, lamed, starts with the lamed, the chamatz, the mem, the patah, the dalet, and this means studied, past tense, like he studied. Shamar is going to be shin dot top right, uh, chamatz, mem, patah, resh, and that is going to be guarded. So that very common. I don't know, sorry if I'm spelling that right in English, but if I'm not, forgive me. But a very common word, especially in the Torah. And then latet is really an infinitive. Excuse me on that. I sometimes get carried away with my lamed. Lamed, patah. I'm sorry, chamatz. We got a tet, atav. I'm sorry, zeri, and then another tav, and that means to give. We'll talk about infinitives a little bit later. Okay, so that gives you some new Hebrew words to learn, two new letters. Let's see. You can another thing you can do at this point is just like we did in the past lessons. Think of names. Let's say I don't know if you ever heard the name Lamar. Uh, there's a name Marsha. These are English names. We can spell those out using Hebrew. If we do it Marsha first, we use a mem. You can use a patah, chamatz, it doesn't matter. Reish, and then wait. You don't have a, a vowel mark in between these two consonants here. And we haven't gone over this yet, but for right now, just leave it blank. I don't want to confuse you at this point, but so in other words, no, we're not going to put a vowel mark down below, and then we can have a shin dot, and something like a patah. There's more we would do. This we'll come back and look at this in later lessons. There's some. This would not be like correct Hebrew stating the way that is, but Lamar. But for practicing purposes, it's okay. You could do a chamatz, lamed, chamatz, mem, and then another chamatz, and then the resh. So you can take names of people, names of cities, and so on, and practice these letters until you get really used to them, and try them back and forth. Use both the block script and the handwriting script until you've got them down pat, and we'll catch up in the next.